never get to talk to each other anymore.
Except for on the podcast.
Yeah,
we should have just been recording our whole last conversation.
I know, we should have. Our podcast recording sessions are our only time to get to talk. Okay, should we retell all of our stories? Well, some of our stories weren't really for public consumption.
Yeah.
They were, like, inappropriate things, as in offensive things that our professors said.
Or us complaining.
We weren't endorsing the offensive things. We were complaining about the offensive things that they said.
But Aspen's professors did say some things that were a little bit really offensive.
I have one professor who is just really obsessed with themselves, and I don't need to complain because I am very grateful to go to this school, but he just sometimes makes you wonder about how he's allowed to teach.
But I'm taking a podcast class, and I really like that class. I have to say that in case anyone from that class listens to this. But I do really like the class. I'm not just saying that.
There's one class that I'm taking that I like, and my professor is the nicest person on the planet.
I convinced Aspen to take it because I took it a few years ago, and it was one of my favorite classes.
Yeah, it's really funny because it filled one of the requirements that I needed, but I had signed up for a different class that filled that requirement. And I thought it was because Ashley didn't like the class, and I was certain that I didn't want to take it because I really thought Ashley had told me that it wasn't a very good class. But then I was redoing my schedule, and that class fit better into my schedule, and so I called Ashley. She was in New Orleans when I called her about it.
I didn't just like call me in my bedroom.
Yeah. And I said, should I take this class because it fits better in my schedule, but I'm just really worried that I'm not going to like it. Which is not that I pick every single class just because I don't think I'm going to like it, because sometimes you just have to take the class the way that the schedules work here.
But you should take classes you like.
Yeah. And she was like, oh no, I love that class. And I was like, really? Or are you just saying that because you don't want me to shy away from it? And she was like, no, I really liked it, but I was so nervous about this class. And it's by far my favorite class.
I always don't think professors remember me, but she keeps telling Aspen that I was in her class, so I think she does remember me.
Yeah, she will often tell me, when your sister Ashley was in this class, we did this lesson at this time, but I really thought it would make more sense to do it first, and I kind of think it works. Do you think so?
I think it's so funny when people say your sister Ashley or your sister Aspen, like we don't know who our sister is.
Yeah, but when I talk to people, sometimes I feel like I'm not sure if I should say my sister or just say Ashley, but sometimes it's awkward because I'll be talking to my aunt or our best friend or something, and I'll say, when my sister said blah, 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 or my sister came over, and they're like, you can just say Ashley.
Yeah, I do that too. But I feel like it's different when people are talking to us and they say that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I just think it's cute. I was watching this video of these really cute little kids the other day, and I think I sent one of them to you on Instagram. You need to watch it because they are so funny. But one of the girls she was talking to her parents, and she kept saying, like, my sister did this. Oh, my sister's hugging me. And it was so cute because obviously they knew it was her sister because they were their parents.
Well, I also have this problem that, I don't know why, but it just seems really natural when Ashley and I are talking to each other that when I'm talking about one of our parents, I'll say, Mommy said or Daddy said, because for some reason it just feels really weird to say Mom said. Yeah, I don't know why, but it just doesn't roll off the tongue.
I know.
But it feels really awkward because I'm way too old to call them Mommy and Daddy. So I will be talking to Ashley in public, and then I'll say, our mom said, or my mom said, or my dad said.
Yeah, you do that all the time.
Which is weirder, but it sounds less weird to me than just saying mom or dad.
Yeah, I really don't know why we do that. Like, why we don't just say mom said, but it just, like, sounds so weird if I talk to you and say, I was talking to Mom the other day. Like, who? It would be like if I called you Bob. Like, if I was talking to her parents and I said, Bob and I went to Ralph's, like, it would just be so weird.
Oh, we didn't introduce ourselves. You probably know who we are by now, but I'm Aspen, the better half of the Summers twins.
And I'm Ashley, the best half of the Summers twins.
And if you don't know why you're here, you are listening to It's a Twin Thing, which is our podcast about life and twins and inspiration.
If you don't know why you're here, that's probably concerning.
Well, because we're really going to try to get people to share this episode since it's the thing that I'm going to tell everyone what it is. And so there might be new listeners.
Gotcha. Okay,
but today is, drumroll please, nothing! Today is nothing. If you're listening to this on Wednesday when it comes out, it is also nothing. Well, it is things. It might be your birthday, so happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. But it's International Podcast Day.
Yeah, but you just ruined it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
International Podcast Day is September 30th. Today is not that, unless you're listening to this episode on September 30th.
Oh.
Which is not when this episode comes out.
I thought we were recording this because it was coming out on International Podcast Day.
No, it's just coming out a few days before. Oh. So we're doing it in celebration of International Podcast Day.
Okay, we'll turn this off and then listen to it on September 30th.
Yes, which I think is Saturday, but it might be Sunday, so don't quote me on
Okay, bye. We'll see you on Saturday.
Oh, no, it is Saturday, because, well, we're doing something really exciting this weekend, but I'm not going to tell you guys what it is, because we'll do a podcast about it after, but I don't want to tell you where we're going to be, because you might kidnap us. But anyway, we'll just leave you in suspense, so you have to come back and listen.
Yeah, okay, bye. We'll talk to you on Saturday. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Saturday.
Happy International Podcast Day. Before we get started with the rest of our podcast, even though we're 10 minutes in, we are going to ask you to do something really exciting for International Podcast Day. Please share our podcast with your favorite person who doesn't listen to this podcast yet, because everybody needs a twin in their life. We firmly believe that.
Yes, we do.
And if you know somebody who doesn't have the good fortune of having a twin in their life and doesn't have the good fortune of listening to It's a Twin Thing yet, they need to listen to this. So please share this with somebody. Help us spread our joy of being twins and our twinspiration with the rest of the world. Do your part.
Do your part.
And go share this with somebody that you love. You can send them the link. You can email it to them. You can shove your earbuds in their ears and say, listen to this. Or share it on Facebook, or on Instagram, or on TikTok, or on Chapsnap, or I know it's called Snapchat, but that's what one of my teachers used to call it. I also don't even know if Snapchat still exists, but I think it does.
On Threads, that's the new one.
Yeah, or on X.
Which X?
It's what Twitter is called now. Did you not know that?
What? No.
We're a little behind the times.
I learned a lot of things today. Why X? So what do they call it when you tweet?
That's a good question.
Ooh.
But today, since it is International Podcast Day, since you're now listening to this on Saturday, we are going to be doing what Ashley told me is called a meta podcast, where we are talking about podcasts/podcasting on our podcast. And since we were just talking about being behind the times, I wanted to bring up what I think is kind of the funniest thing about podcasting. Do you want to know what it is?
Uh-huh.
So I feel like I've heard people, when I listen to other podcasts, people who come on and do interviews, they're like, yeah, I used to just really hate podcasts because it just feels like everything is becoming so digitized now and blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, well, podcasts are basically radio.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that goes back to our early technology, because it's just people talking on audio, which is radio.
Yeah, except for that you can listen to them in your earbuds.
Yeah, so it's not the exact same, but I just think it's funny because, like, when my parents were kids, and I mean, how I imagine is they would walk around with their,
boombox?
Yeah, their little, like, boombox sets that they would plug their headphones in.
And Walkmans?
Yeah, maybe Walkmans or MP3 players or something.
Oh.
And they would plug their little headphones in and walk around listening to music. So it's pretty much the same thing, except
That's
people just...
true.
Yeah, except people just have the shells in their ears. Which, if you've never read...
Fahrenheit 451.
I know, that's what I was just going to say. If you've never read Fahrenheit 451... It's kind of creepy how much... Oh my gosh, what was his name?
Montauk.
No, the author.
Ray Bradbury.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy how much Ray Bradbury predicted the future.
I remember the character's name because it's Monday in German.
Mm-hmm.
And not my professor, my English teacher, because I was a freshman in high school and I read that, was asking everyone why they thought he was named that, and I had this whole theory because I was just starting to take German, and I was like, well, that's Monday in German, and my teacher did not agree with my theory, and I was like, but it means Monday in German, but I don't even remember what it was, but it apparently, I feel like it had something to do with, it was like the name of a pencil company or something. Anyways.
Yeah, they don't care about Fahrenheit 451.
No, they don't. But can I tell them something about earbuds?
Yes.
I very much like my earbud things, but they're not AirPods because they're Samsung. But I at first did not want them when they became a big rage because I have a thing about technology. And I mean, I like technology, but I just don't like change. And I didn't want things to be so technological. But now I love them because I can listen to stuff while I'm cleaning and cooking and whatever. And it is just very nice. And I need to be entertained at all times. But I have this problem where I will listen to things in my earbuds and then react to them while I'm in public that is not necessarily very appropriate, which used to be fine because I got my earbuds during COVID, so I would always have a mask on and I could laugh at things and nobody noticed. But lately, especially since I've gotten back to school, I've been listening to this podcast that is really funny, but it's not necessarily something you would expect to be funny. It's not like a comedy show or something, so it's just suddenly unexpectedly funny. And if I'm walking across campus or something and it's a long walk, I will put in my earbuds and listen to this podcast. They will say something funny and then I'll start laughing and then I look like an idiot because I'm just walking across the middle of campus laughing. And sometimes I go to the gym and I've been watching this show on Netflix called Designated Survivor, which is really good, but it sometimes has these jump scares or not really jump scares, but surprises or moments that are really shocking. And my mom used to have this problem and I would laugh and laugh at her about it, and now I do the same thing because they have music blasting in the gym, so it's so loud, and usually I only have one earbud in, but I have to put both in, so then you're just really immersed in the show, and then something will jump out or someone will appear or someone's going in somewhere scary and you get really nervous, and so I'll be like, ah! in the middle of the gym. And people look at me like I am a nut job. The other day, I was listening to this podcast while I was walking, and it was not late at night, but it was probably 9 or 10 o'clock. And I was walking back from somewhere. Somebody on the podcast said something really funny, and then I was laughing at it, but there were a ton of people out. And so I just felt really awkward because I was laughing and they were all looking at me. And then I just could not stop laughing. And then I was just thinking about how insane I looked because I was walking around laughing. And so then that made me laugh more. And so then I was just cracking up in the middle of the road. And so then I was like, oh my gosh, now I look really insane, and people probably think that I'm having a psychotic break because they can't really tell I have earbuds in. Most people wear earbuds, but they usually listen to music, I feel when they're in public, so they don't have that problem where they start laughing. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to get out my phone and pretend that I'm talking on the phone so that it looks like I'm talking to someone and at least there's a reason that I'm cracking up. So then I got my phone out, but then I thought it was even more funny that I was just pretending to talk on the phone and I wasn't actually talking on the phone. So then I was laughing even more, and so then I had to call my mom so that I could talk to somebody and be laughing and not seem so insane. But I just talked to her, so she probably thought it was an emergency or something, and she answered, and I was like, hi, I just really needed to talk to you because I can't stop laughing, and I really just need to talk to somebody so I can calm down. So then I just had to talk to her about how I couldn't stop laughing, and then I calmed down, but it was a little bit insane. And then I was taking a Lyft the other day to the grocery store, but at our school, you can only take shared Lyfts. So I just sit in the front next to the driver, and I was listening to this podcast that wasn't very funny, but then all of a sudden they said something really funny, and so then I was sitting in the front seat laughing out loud at this podcast with all these other people in the car. So the moral of that long story is that if you see me somewhere and I look crazy because I'm laughing for no reason, it's because I'm listening to a podcast, and then as soon as I start thinking about how weird I look because I'm laughing, then I laugh more. And if you are at the gym and somebody screams, don't be afraid because it's probably because something happened on the show they're watching.
Well, I feel like a lot of people talk on the phone on their earbuds, and you can't always tell that they have earbuds in, so I feel like people are just so used to seeing it and so engulfed in their own whatever's in their earbuds that they're probably not paying any attention to you.
But I've gotten some faces at the gym.
I get really nervous walking around LA. I don't wear my earbuds very often when I'm walking because I feel like it just makes you less aware of your surroundings. So, like, I would never wear my earbuds in a lift. I mean, I don't know why, because you're just sitting there, so it's not like someone's going to sneak up behind you, but I just feel like I need to be aware. But two things. First of all, it took me forever to get on the earbud train, the wireless earbud train, because my mom and my sister had them and loved them. And I was like, I don't know, they kind of bothered me, honestly. Sometimes they still do because people just always have them in. And like I said, I don't wear them as often. So like Ashley will be coming to meet me walking from her apartment just across the street. And then I say hi to her or something and she has her earbuds in and doesn't hear me and it just bothers me sometimes. But also I was like, I just don't think I'm really going to have any use for them. So I don't know why I would need them. I would rather just have my wired earbuds. But then when my parents or my sister would be cleaning or something and they had their earbuds in and I was like, well, that might be nice. So then I just wanted some cheap ones, but my dad doesn't really like cheap off-brand things, so he got me the real ones. But for literally an entire year, every time I would try to put them in, I was like, mine are broken. They won't stay in my ears. I've tried every size of little rubbery thing to put on them, and they just won't stay in my ears. I don't know what's wrong with them. So I would try to wear them sometimes, like, I remember I would be doing dishes or cooking or something and I would put them in to try to call one of my parents while I was at school and they would just be like falling out into the sink and I was like, I just don't understand how everybody wears these while they're doing stuff. How do yours not just fall in the toilet when you're cleaning? Turns out you have to twist them into your ear. You don't just set them in there.
Yeah.
So after an entire year, I learned that and now I use them a lot more. But I don't feel like I have as much of a problem about reacting to things because I actually feel like I'm very unreactive. Like if I'm watching a movie or something with other people, except for that one movie that we can't talk about because of the strike, but that was really, really funny.
Yeah, but it's on Hulu now, so everyone should watch it.
I have to like force myself to laugh. Even if I think something's funny, I have to force a reaction. But I never know when people are talking to other people or reacting to other people on their earbuds. And this used to happen to me, I feel like even more before earbuds were a thing, but people would have those Bluetooth earpieces that they would call people on. My dad and a couple of my parents' employees would always have those in and be on the phone, but they would just be like sitting in the living room doing bib prep or something for my parents' business and then all of a sudden be talking and I would always think they were talking to me, so I would just talk back. Aww. And then it was, of course, so embarrassing when you realize they're not talking to you. And so sometimes people will like walk past me and they're just like, hi. And I don't know if they're talking to me or they're talking on their earbuds. I don't want to embarrass myself if I don't know this person and say hi back. But if they think that I'm Ashley, it's more of a problem because I'm a twin.
Yeah.
So I don't ever know if people are talking to me or talking to someone else. It just makes it so awkward.
No, I understand that. I have that problem too, where people are on their earbuds or there's someone behind me that they're waving to or whatever, but I'll just be like, oh, hi, or like wave to them because I don't know if they know you. So obviously I know I don't know them. So then they probably are like, think it's so weird, but it's because I'm trying to be nice in case they think I'm you. Because that does also happen a lot where people think that we're each other and only one of us knows them. So like someone you don't know will say hi and you have to pretend you know them so that they don't think Aspen's rude because she didn't say hi to them.
Yeah, because people will say to me, oh, were you at Trader Joe's the other day? And I'm like, I don't think so. And they're like, really? Because I thought I saw you and I said hi, but you didn't say anything, and I thought that was really rude. And I'm like, that was probably my sister. So we just try to be reactive to people when we think that they think we're each other. Okay, but do you have any favorite podcasts, obviously, besides It's a Twin Thing?
Yeah, It's a Twin Thing is my favorite, but
I have a question, actually. Do you listen to the episodes? Because I edit them, so I don't really listen to them after they come out. But do you listen to them when they are released?
I try really hard to. Sometimes I don't because I just really don't like listening to myself. But lately I've been listening to them all. Because since you have to edit them, I feel like I should listen to them.
I will play them through and sometimes I will be listening to them. But since I edit them, I've heard it so many times that it gets really hard to listen to my own voice because I'm analyzing every weird rhythm and and like that I say, and I try to cut out as many of them as I can, but I get really hung up on the little insecurity things, and so then listening to it back and being like, oh, I should have cut that out, or oh, that didn't sound good, or oh, that cut sounded weird. It's really hard for me. But I've been lately listening back to old episodes where I don't remember as much, but listening to them right when they come out is just a little bit self-conscious raising for me.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of weird to me that we have so many episodes. I always forget that we started at the beginning of last semester, so
I know.
Sometimes I'll listen to the old ones because I don't remember. Like, today I suggested that we do an episode that we had already done.
Yeah. But sometimes when I listen to the old ones, I'm like, oh, that was really funny.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to the old episodes, go back and listen to them.
Yeah, because they're funny. And we had really good interviews. Like, we interviewed really interesting people.
Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
About my favorite podcast?
Yeah.
What was the one I really liked that I finished? I don't remember. I really like Armchair Expert. That is the main one that I listen to. And now they have 5 shows a week, so I get to listen to one every day.
Do you listen to all of the different shows?
Usually, yeah.
Oh, you do?
I used to listen to them pretty much the day they came out. I would listen to all of them, but now I have a lot less time that I listen to podcasts, and I feel like I don't wear my earbuds as often, so I am a few weeks behind. I really love Armchair Anonymous. Those are my favorite ones.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I used to not listen to the fact checks, but now that's pretty much why I listen to the episodes, because I really like the fact checks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because they're not really fact checks, they're just them talking.
So if you don't know what Armchair Expert is, it's Dak Shepard and Monica Padman's podcast where they do interviews with actors and then people who are experts on different things. And then they do this really funny series called Armchair Anonymous where they have listeners call in and tell stories about whatever that week's theme is. And there's some really crazy stories.
Mm-hmm. I've been having to listen to a lot of specific podcasts for my podcast class, and I've been listening. A lot of them are like true crime ones, which are interesting, except they freak me out so much. I listen to the Bible in a Year with Father Mike Schmitz every morning. If you're a Catholic person, you should listen to Father Mike Schmitz because I really like him. I started listening to a lot of illness podcasts but I can only listen to them once in a while because sometimes I feel like they make me really down. Like, I like to listen to podcasts for the entertainment. I think it's just interesting how many things you can learn from listening to different podcasts. Like on Armchair Expert, the Experts on Experts ones I used to not listen to, but now I will. And some of them are such weird topics that I never would have thought to listen to, but you just learn so much.
Yeah, I'm such a nerd, but I really like the Business Wars podcast where they talk about different industries and then like the competitors and I can't think of the word, but they do like Domino's versus Pizza Hut and Netflix versus Blockbuster, and they did Haagen-Dazs versus Ben & Jerry's, which was a really interesting one, and they did something that I think it was Disney versus Pixar, like before they combined. I kind of laugh at myself sometimes at how much of a nerd I am because I'm really fascinated a lot more than I thought I would be about the business side of those things. In my business class, we had the business librarian come in and show us all of these databases that we can access as students. And there's one where it's just all of these industry fact reports from every year, and you get pages and pages of the industry trends and financial information and projections. And I downloaded so many industries after that lady came to talk to us. I was so interested, and I was like, I am the biggest dork. I don't know why this is so interesting to me, but I was any industry that I could possibly think might be interesting to start a business in. I was like, I gotta learn about it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I feel like sometimes I will just go down such rabbit holes about things like that are really nerdy, but I just am so interested in things. That's one of the things, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but that's one of the things about college that sometimes I'm a little bit disappointed about is that I really love to learn things. Like, I love to listen to podcasts about psychology and neuroscience and stuff because I just think it's so interesting. But I mean, I took a psychology class for a GE and I really liked it, but I really want to just take some of these classes and things that I'm interested in because I am not necessarily going to go into a career in them, but I just want to learn about them. But then the classes are so stressful and you just have to worry about your grades the whole time. So I feel like you spend a lot of time not actually learning because you're just stressed.
Yeah, I agree. I also kind of embarrassed myself being a nerd in my business class, but I didn't mean to sound like that nerdy girl who's making us do homework, but we were supposed to get this book from my business class that we were supposed to have read the first part of it by this week. And so last week, the professor was telling us what homework we had for the next week. I had already started reading the book, so he didn't say anything about it, and I was like, oh, well, I better make sure that we were actually supposed to do that, because otherwise I'm not going to finish it right now. Not that I wouldn't read the book, but sometimes I read things too far ahead, and then we have discussions or pop quizzes or something about them, and I don't remember the details because I read them 3 months in advance, or not 3 months, 3 weeks in advance, and I had a ton of reading for my English class, so it wasn't like I was trying to be lazy. So then I asked about it, and then he was like, oh yeah, everyone make sure you get this book and read it. And then everyone was annoyed, and I felt really bad because I wasn't trying to be like, oh, give us this homework. I was just clarifying for myself. But then he's like, thanks, Aspen, for reminding me, and you always hate that.
I understand that. Oops. What other podcasts do you like to listen to?
I have a really hard time with podcasts because I'm kind of impatient, and so it's really hard for me to find a new one, because if I'm not super invested in it, then I don't give it enough time. But I like the Hypochondriactor. We listened to that a lot.
I like that one.
We listened to that one a lot when we were driving home from LA last year, and so I got interested in that. But interview ones like that, I'll usually just listen if there's somebody that I'm interested in hearing their interview. Mm-hmm. I will also listen to, I think it's Off Camera with Sam Jones.
Oh, I like that one.
And then there's one that is, I think it's called Awards Chatter, and that one is very dry, but if it's a person that I'm interested in hearing an interview with them, I will listen to that, because they tend to get a lot of really cool people who don't really do other podcasts, I feel like. I do really like interview podcasts. That's probably what I mostly listen to, because then it is easier to just look up Meryl Streep podcasts. She doesn't do any podcasts, but look up like Meryl Streep podcasts or Jessica Chastain podcasts, and then just find the people that you want to listen to an interview with. I've listened to some of Oprah's podcasts.
I didn't know she had a podcast.
Now I'm blanking on what it's called, but there's some pretty inspirational episodes. I would like to listen to true crime podcasts. I think that they would creep me out too much, but there's a couple that I'm really interested in.
I think that I would like true crime, except for that it really just freaks me out. I like fake crime, like true crime things that didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
Or you want to find out about it and stuff, because I don't want to think about that it actually happened.
Like suspense.
Yeah. But that used to freak me out too, but I've gotten a little more brave. I like that Sibling Revelry podcast. I don't know if they really do it anymore, but the professor of my podcast class produced that podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was trying to remember, do you know which one of us came up with the idea to start a podcast? Because I think it was you, but I feel like I'm the one who makes us record all of the episodes and does all the administration stuff, so then I always feel like I'm forcing you to do it.
I don't know, because I don't remember having that idea. I thought it was you, but maybe it was me. If it was me, I'm sorry I make you do all the work. I'll do the work now. We can switch.
No, that's not what I was saying. I always feel so bad because I'm like, Ashley, we really need to record a podcast. Ashley, we really need to do this. But then I keep thinking, I feel like I wanted to do a blog and you really wanted to do a podcast. Like, we had a bunch of ideas.
Yeah.
But I feel like the actual doing a podcast was your idea.
Oh, you know what? It was my idea. It was, because I came up with the idea when I was talking to our friend Terry, who we love, and who isn't coming to California despite my petition. Because I was talking to her and I was having a really bad day, and she was just like so positive, and she always tells us to look up good news stories every day. And so then I came up with the idea of doing like a good news podcast. So then we came up with Twinspiration, but then we did our other part of the podcast too, because
we like funny things.
Yeah.
And because we wanted to talk about twindom.
Because everyone needs to know what it's like.
So do you like doing the podcast?
No, I hate it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think that it's been really interesting because I'm definitely more of an introvert, and when we did our first interview, besides the one with our parents, obviously, except even that one.
Yeah, that one didn't go very well.
I was so stressed about it. I think everyone was ready to kill me because I kept being like, this isn't going well. I'm really sorry. I don't know why this is going so bad. I thought we were more prepared for this. But then our first interview with somebody else, I was so nervous for it, and I really didn't want to do it. And I was like, we should just do the episodes that are just us because it's just too stressful to interview people. This is going to go so bad. I don't know why we thought we were going to do interviews. But I have just loved doing the interviews, and I feel like I've become so much more comfortable talking to people just in life from doing the interviews on our podcast, which is funny because they're not even in person. They're just over video. But we've met so many fascinating people, and a lot of these people, especially at the beginning, are people that we knew, but we learned so many interesting things about them. I don't know, I've just really liked getting to talk to people, and I've noticed this semester, I feel like I've been a lot more outgoing and comfortable just having conversations with people in my classes and like owning my space than before, when I would just feel like I was the little mouse in the corner that no one wanted to talk to.
Yeah, I agree. I think, honestly, I thought that by now we would have more listeners and stuff, so sometimes I'm like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't keep doing the podcast because, I mean, we love the people who listen to it, but we already loved them because it's mostly our family. But I really enjoy doing the podcast, and now it's like our only time that we get to see each other.
I know. So sorry you guys always have to listen to us babble on to each other about things that you probably don't know what we're talking about.
But sometimes, like, most of the podcasts that I like listening to is because I just like listening to people's normal interactions. I don't know why.
I agree.
Probably a bad thing. I need to, like, go find myself some friends that aren't in my earbuds. But I feel like even if nobody listens to them, the interviews have been so fun, and we've gotten to talk to some really amazing people, and it's been really inspiring for me to get to talk to all of these people, and hopefully it is for the people who listen as well. But I agree that when we started, I mean, for a long time, I have dreaded interviews of any kind. I get so nervous, and even just job interviews or something, I was like on the brink of panic every time I would have one. And so when we had the first few interviews, I was just terribly nervous, and I did not want to do them, and I didn't think I was going to be able to get through them, and now I don't even bat an eye, and it's only been a few months. That has been a really nice side effect of doing the interviews, is that I feel like I've gotten a lot more comfortable with that sort of situation, and I don't really think that I've gotten that much better about socializing with people in my classes and stuff because of it, but I feel like I've gotten a lot better at just having conversations and being in that sort of setting where it's an interview or you're meeting somebody or having to think of things to talk to people about, you know?
Yeah. Well, happy International Podcast Day, everybody, and thank you for our loyal listeners for listening with us for the last several months, and to our new listeners, thank you for joining us, and we hope that you will continue to add some extra sprinkles of joy in your life by listening to It's a Twin Thing.
Because everybody needs sprinkles. Except I don't have sprinkles because I can't find them at any of the stores.
Oh no.
I know.
Well, we better go and get Ashley some sprinkles. But we will talk to you next time.
Bye.